Dream of the Red Chamber, First Chapter Part 2. Zhen Qiyin dreams of knowing the psychic. Ch1 reminisces about her boudoir in the wind and dust. One day, hot summer daylight, Qiyin sitting in the study, hands tired of throwing books, amble a few nap. He came to a place in a blur, not knowing where it was, and suddenly he saw a monk and a monk coming from that room, walking and talking. I heard the monk ask, "Where do you want to go with this?" The monk laughed and said, "Don't worry." The monk laughed and said, "Don't worry, there is an affair that should be finished now, and this affair has not been reincarnated yet, so I take this opportunity to bring it with me so that he can experience it." The Taoist said, "It turns out that recently, the unjust and the unlucky will be reincarnated again. But I don't know where it started. Where did it fall?" The monk said, "That's a funny story." The monk said, "It's funny because back then, this stone was not used by the Emperor of Mercy, but he himself was free to go around and play. One day, he came to the Fairy of Wonders, who knew he had some history, so she kept him in her palace and named him the divine eunuch of the palace of the Red Cloud. He often walked on the bank of the Spirit River in the west and saw a lovely and delicate plant on the bank of the Spirit River by the 3 living stones. Later, after receiving the essence of heaven and earth and being nourished by the sweet dew, she shed her birthright and took on a human form, only to become a female body. Because she had not yet repaid the virtue of irrigation, she even had an incessant feeling in her heart, saying, "I have received his blessing of rain and dew, but I have no such water to return. If he becomes a human being in the next life, I will go with him, but I will return all the tears of my life to him, and that will be enough." Therefore, the matter, and how many of the affair of the wrongdoer to come down to earth, to create a fantasy. The Jiangju immortal grass is also among them. Today, this stone should be brought to the next world, so I came to bring him to the case of the Fairy of Illusion and give him a number, so that he can come down with these love spirits to settle the case. The Taoist said, "It is really funny, never heard of the return of tears. Why don't you and I also go down to the next world and get rid of a few of them?" The monk said, "That is exactly what I want. You should come with me to the palace of the Fairy of Illusion and deliver this stupid thing clearly. We will go again after the demons of the evil spirits come down to the next world. Now half of them have fallen into the dust, but not all of them have been collected yet." The Taoist said, "In that case, I'll let you go." The monk and the Taoist also replied to the monk and the Taoist. The monk and the Daoist also answered the question. Qiyin said, "I have heard that the immortal masters talk about cause and effect, which is rarely heard in the world. But I am too stupid to understand it clearly. If I can be enlightened and listen carefully, I will be able to listen and be alerted, and I will be saved from the suffering of sinking." The 2 immortals laughed and said, "This is a mysterious opportunity that cannot be revealed in advance. At that time, as long as you don't forget us, you will be able to jump out of the fire." Qiyin listened to this, and was not able to ask further questions, so he laughed and said, "Of course, the mystery cannot be revealed, but it is appropriate to say stupid things. I wonder why? I wonder if I can see it?" The monk said, "If you ask this thing, you have a chance to see it." Then he took it out and handed it to Qiyin. When Qiyin took it, he saw that it was a piece of bright and beautiful jade with the words Tongling Baoyu engraved on it, followed by a few lines of small letters. When he was about to take a closer look, the monk said, "We have arrived at the illusionary realm," and took it away from him. There was a couplet on both sides, saying, "Falsehood is true when it is true, nothing is still nothing." Ch1 intended to follow the passage, when the party raised a step, suddenly heard a thunderbolt, like a landslide. Ch1 shouted, fixed his eyes, only to see the hot sun. Banana ran, the dream will forget half of the events. He also saw his nanny coming with Yinglian in her arms. When Ch1 saw that his daughter was getting prettier and prettier, he took her in his arms and played with her, and brought her to the street to see the fuss. When he was about to enter, he saw a monk and a monk coming from that side. The monk was bald and barefooted, and the monk was lame, and they were crazy, laughing and joking. When he arrived at his door, he saw Ch1 holding Yinglian, and the monk cried out and said to Ch1, "Master, why do you hold this thing in your arms that has no fate and is a burden to your parents?" When Ch1 heard that, he knew it was madness, and ignored him. The monk still said, "Let me go. Let me go." Ch1 was impatient, so he turned around and was about to go in with his daughter. Then the monk pointed at him and laughed, and recited 4 lines of words, saying. The monk pointed at him and laughed. After the New Year's Eve, it was time for the smoke and fire to go out. When Ch1 heard this, he hesitated and wanted to ask him where he came from, but he heard the Taoist say, "You and I don't have to go together, so let's part and go to our own business. I will wait for you at Mt." The monk said, "Most wonderful, most wonderful." The monk said, "Most wonderful, most wonderful." After that, the two of them went away and no longer saw any trace. Ch1 thought to himself at this time, "These two people must have come from somewhere, I should ask him, but now it is too late to regret."